Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Aurora, looking at the stars through the main screen. The ship had been traveling for 3 weeks now, checking new systems for planets that humans could live on. It was routine work, but Jake never got tired of seeing new worlds. "Captain, I'm getting something strange on the sensors," said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Park from her station. She was the best officer Jake had ever worked with, always calm and smart. "There are energy readings from the system ahead that don't match anything in our databases." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The readings showed patterns that definitely came from technology, not natural sources. "How far away are we?" 2 hours at current speed, sir. Take us in slowly. Keep all sensors active, but don't send out any signals yet." The Aurora moved through space toward the unknown energy source. Jake had been in space for 15 years, and he had learned to be careful when finding new things. Humanity had been exploring space for almost a century now, and they had found many planets, but no other intelligent life. Until today, maybe, as they got closer, the sensors showed more details. Lisa's face went pale as she read the information. "Captain, there are ships out there, big ones, at least 20 of them in formation around a gas giant." "Are they moving?" "No, sir. They seem to be waiting for something," Jake thought for a moment. This was the moment humans had wondered about for generations. First contact with aliens. Send a basic friendship message on all frequencies. Keep it simple. Lisa worked at her controls and sent out a signal that basically said, "Hello, we are humans. We come in peace." It was the standard first contact message that Earth had prepared years ago. The response came fast, too fast. Suddenly, 10 of the alien ships turned toward the Aurora and began moving at incredible speed. Jake had never seen anything move so quickly through space. "Red alert. All hands to battle stations," Jake shouted. The alien ships surrounded the Aurora in minutes. They were huge, at least 3 times bigger than any human ship. They looked like they were made of black metal with sharp edges everywhere. They didn't look friendly. A voice came through the communication system. It was deep and harsh, speaking in perfect English somehow. "Small creatures, you will stop your vessel immediately. You are now prisoners of the Zeltharian Empire. Prepare to surrender your ship and your lives to Emperor Zethkol." Jake looked at Lisa. Neither of them had expected this. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Aurora. We are explorers from Earth. We mean no harm to you or your empire." The alien voice laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. "Earth? We know of your pathetic little world. Your species is weak and new to space. You will serve the Empire or you will die. Choose now." "We choose neither," Jake said firmly. "We are willing to talk and be friends, but we will not surrender to anyone." There was silence for a long moment. Then the voice spoke again, angrier this time. "Your words show your ignorance, human. I am Admiral Kethavar of the Zeltharian fleet. We have conquered 47 species across this galaxy. You are insects, compared to us." Jake could see on the sensors that more alien ships were coming from deeper in the system. Soon there would be 50 ships against his one. But something in him refused to back down. "Admiral, we are not insects. We are humans. If you want to be friends, we can talk. If you want to fight, we will fight back. You amuse me, little creature. To show you the power of the Zeltharian Empire, we will give you a demonstration." 3 of the alien ships suddenly left and flew toward a nearby planet. Jake knew there was a human mining station there with about 200 people working. His heart sank as he realized what was about to happen. "No, leave those people alone. They have nothing to do with this." But it was too late. The alien ships reached the mining planet in minutes. Jake watched helplessly as they landed near the human settlement. Hours passed with no word. Jake tried everything he could think of to help the miners, but his one ship could not fight 50 alien vessels. All he could do was wait and hope. Finally, Admiral Kethavar spoke again. "We have taken your colonists prisoner. 68 humans now serve the Empire. The rest chose to resist and were eliminated." Jake felt sick, but he tried not to show it. "What do you want from us?" You will return to your Earth and tell your leaders that the Zeltharian Empire now owns all human worlds. You will surrender, completely, and pay tribute to the Emperor. Your people will work in our mines and factories. Your soldiers will serve in our armies. This is the only way your species will survive. And if we refuse, then every human world will burn, and your species will be extinct within 1 year. Jake was quiet for a moment, thinking hard. He knew he had to get this information back to Earth, but he also knew that humans would never accept slavery. I will take your message to my leaders, Admiral, but I think you should know something about humans. What could insects like you possibly teach the mighty Zeltharian Empire? We don't surrender, ever. When someone threatens our families and our homes, we fight back with everything we have. You might want to reconsider your plans. The alien admiral laughed again. Your words mean nothing. You have no weapons that can hurt us. Your technology is primitive, your ships are slow and weak. In 1 year, humans will be extinct or slaves. There is no other choice. The alien ship suddenly moved away from the Aurora, heading back toward the gas giant. Jake knew they were letting him go so he could deliver their message to Earth. As the Aurora turned toward home, Lisa came over to Jake. Sir, I managed to record everything that happened. I also got detailed scans of their ships and weapons. Good work. Get everything ready to transmit to Earth the moment we're in communication range. Jake paused and looked at the star where the mining colony had been attacked. And Lisa, start preparing a full analysis of their technology. If they want a war, we're going to give them one they'll never forget. Unknown to both Jake and Admiral Kethvar, something had happened on the mining planet that would change everything. The miners who had been captured were not ordinary people. They were tough, smart humans who had spent their lives working in the most dangerous places in space. Tom Bradley was the chief engineer at the mining station. When the aliens landed, he had managed to rig the main reactor to explode on command. Kate Sullivan, the head medic, had memorized the layout of the alien ship they were imprisoned on. Both of them were studying their captors carefully, learning about Zeltharian weaknesses. The Zeltharians thought they understood humans after one small fight. They thought humans were weak because they had never seen what humans could really do when their survival was threatened. They were about to learn that threatening humanity was the biggest mistake they could make. As the Aurora flew toward Earth, with news of humanity's first contact with hostile aliens, the Zeltharian Empire began preparing for what they thought would be an easy conquest. They had no idea that they had just started a war with the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The warning would come too late for them, but other alien races would learn from the Zeltharian mistake. Never attack humans, because they will reduce your empire to ashes. 3 days after the Aurora reached Earth, emergency meetings were happening in every major city. President Helen Carter sat in the Situation Room deep under the White House, surrounded by military leaders and scientists. The news from Captain Morrison had shocked everyone, but it had not scared them. So let me understand this correctly, President Carter said, looking at the reports on her tablet. These Zeltharians think they can just demand our surrender and we'll roll over like dogs? Defense Secretary Ryan Brooks stood up and activated the large screen on the wall. Madam President, based on Captain Morrison's data, they have superior numbers and technology. Their ships are faster and their weapons are more powerful than ours. But President Carter knew there was more. But they clearly don't understand humans at all. They gave us a warning and a deadline. That was their first mistake. Dr. Amy Foster, head of the Strategic Research Division, stepped forward. She was a small woman with gray hair, but everyone in the room knew she was brilliant. Madam President, we've been preparing for this day longer than most people realize. What do you mean? For the past 30 years, we've been developing weapons and strategies based on one simple idea. What if we met aliens who were stronger than us? What if they wanted to hurt us? President Carter leaned forward. Show me. Dr. Foster pressed a button and the screen changed to show a secret military base in space. This is Project Hammer. While other species apparently focused on energy weapons and shields, we took a different approach. We built things that hit hard and fast. The screen showed massive railguns that could fire metal slugs at incredible speeds. A piece of metal moving at 30% of light speed doesn't care how good your shields are. It will punch through anything. Defense Secretary Brooks continued the presentation. We also have these. The screen showed sleek black ships that seemed to bend light around them. Stealth fighters that can get close to enemy ships without being detected. Each one carries antimatter torpedoes. And this is our ace in the hole, Dr. Foster said as the screen showed something that made everyone in the room go quiet. It looked like a normal asteroid, but sensors showed it was hollow inside. We call them planet crackers, asteroids filled with fusion bombs and antimatter charges. If someone tries to destroy Earth, we can destroy their worlds too. President Carter was quiet for a long moment. How many people know about these projects? Less than 1,000, Ryan Brooks answered. We built everything in secret using automated factories. Even most of our own military doesn't know. Good. Keep it that way until we need them. President Carter stood up and looked at everyone in the room. Send a message to every human colony and every ship. Total war mobilization starts now, but keep it quiet. Let the aliens think we're scared. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, Emperor Zethkol was meeting with his generals in the Imperial Palace. The Emperor was huge even for a Zeltharian, with 4 arms and crystal-like skin that reflected light in all directions. His voice echoed through the Great Hall as he spoke. General Vextar, what news do you have of the human response? General Vexitar was the Emperor's best military commander. He had conquered 15 species for the Empire and had never lost a battle. Your Majesty, our spies report that the humans are panicking. Their leaders are meeting constantly, and military is moving ships around. They appear to be preparing defenses. Defenses? Emperor Zethkol laughed. What kind of defenses could such a primitive species possibly build? Nothing that could stop us, Your Majesty. Our intelligence shows they have basic energy weapons and chemical rockets. Their technology is at least 200 years behind ours. Excellent. How long before our invasion fleet is ready? 3 weeks, Your Majesty. 500 warships, including 20 dreadnoughts. It will be the largest fleet the Empire has ever assembled. Perfect. Make sure every species in the galaxy hears about this conquest. When we destroy the humans quickly and completely, it will remind everyone why they should fear the Zeltharian Empire. Back on Earth, Captain Morrison was meeting with military intelligence officers. He had been asked to share every detail about his encounter with the Zeltharians, no matter how small. Tell me again about their reaction when you said humans don't surrender, asked Colonel Frank Miller, a tough old Marine who had fought in the Mars Rebellion 20 years earlier. The Admiral laughed, sir, but it wasn't just amusement. I think he was confused, like he couldn't understand why anyone would choose to fight instead of surrender. Interesting. What about their body language? How did they move? Jake thought for a moment. They were very formal, sir. Everything they did seemed planned and ceremonial, like they were following a script they had used many times before. Colonel Miller nodded. That matches what we learned from other species they conquered. The Zeltharians have a pattern. They show up, demand surrender, demonstrate their power, and most species give up. But we're not most species, Jake said. No, we're not. And that's going to be their downfall. On the mining planet where the human colonists had been captured, Tom Bradley and Kate Sullivan were learning everything they could about their captors. The Zeltharians had put them in a prison ship, but they had made mistakes. Kate, look at this, Tom whispered as he examined the wall of their cell. These joints are welded, not molecularly bonded. Their metal is strong, but it's not perfect. Kate was watching the guards through the small window in their door. Tom, I think I figured out something important. They can't see very well in low light. When the lights dimmed for their sleep cycle, the guards kept bumping into things. That's useful. What else? Their armor is heavy, really heavy. It takes them effort to move quickly. And Tom, I don't think they're used to prisoners who fight back. Tom nodded. I've been listening to them talk. They keep saying things like, this species lasted 2 days, or that planet surrendered in 6 hours. I don't think they've ever had a long war. They're about to get one. The two humans had been secretly loosening bolts and memorizing guard schedules. They weren't planning to escape yet. They were planning something much more important. They were going to learn enough about Zeltharian technology to help Earth fight back. 3 weeks later, the Zeltharian invasion fleet left their home system. 500 ships, the pride of the Empire, headed toward human space. General Vextar commanded from the flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Divine Hammer. The general was confident. In his 40 years of military service, he had never lost a battle. The humans would be no different from the others. Show them overwhelming force, destroy a few of their ships, and they would surrender within days. The first target was the human colony of New Portland, a farming world with 2 million people. It was far from Earth and lightly defended, perfect for showing human weakness to the galaxy. But as the Zeltharian fleet approached New Portland, they detected something unexpected. Instead of the panic and evacuation they expected, the planet was broadcasting a message on all frequencies. Attention, Zeltharian fleet. This is Mayor Chris Walker of New Portland. We have received your demands for surrender. Our answer is no. We are humans. We don't surrender to bullies. If you want our world, come and take it. General Vextar was puzzled. Are they insane? Do they not understand that we have 500 ships and they have perhaps 10 defense platforms? His aide, Captain Thisik, checked the sensor readings. General, they appear to be evacuating their cities, but not their weapons. They're spreading out across the planet. It doesn't matter. Order the bombardment to begin, destroy their defenses and force them to surrender. But when the Zeltharian ships began their attack, something strange happened. The human defense platforms didn't try to fight the overwhelming fleet. Instead, they launched thousands of small missiles that spread out in all directions. Sir, those missiles aren't aimed at us, Captain Thisik reported. They're hitting the planet's surface. General Vextar watched in confusion as explosions bloomed across New Portland. The humans were destroying their own farms, their own cities, their own infrastructure. What are they doing? The answer came from Mayor Walker's final transmission. If we can't have our world, no one can. Welcome to hell, aliens. The Zeltharians had just learned their first lesson about humans. When cornered, they don't surrender. They make sure that victory costs as much as possible. The invasion of New Portland would take 6 months instead of 6 hours. And it would teach the Zeltharian Empire that they had made the biggest mistake in their history. Admiral Susan Hayes stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching as her fleet prepared for the biggest space battle in human history. The Retribution was Earth's newest carrier ship, built in secret over the past 5 years. Around her, 50 human ships waited in the shadow of a large asteroid field near Kepler Station. Admiral, we're getting reports from New Portland, said her communications officer, Lieutenant Tony Garcia. The Zeltharians have been fighting there for 2 months now. They've lost over 30,000 ground troops. Susan smiled grimly. And how many planets did they expect to conquer in that time? According to their historical pattern, they should have taken at least 5 worlds by now. Good. That means our strategy is working. They're learning that fighting humans is different from fighting anyone else. The battle for New Portland had become a nightmare for General Vextar. Every building was a fortress. Every street was a trap. The humans had poisoned water supplies, destroyed food storage, and turned the entire planet into a weapon against the invaders. The Zeltharians had superior technology, but the humans had something the aliens had never encountered before. They fought like cornered animals, using every dirty trick they could think of. Children threw bombs made from farming equipment. Old people sniped at alien patrols from hidden positions. Even when buildings were destroyed, humans kept fighting from the rubble. Security Chief Nina Torres had organized the resistance on New Portland. She was a former Earth military officer who had retired to the peaceful farming world. But when the aliens came, she showed them what human warfare really looked like. Listen carefully, Nina told her fighters over the radio. We're not trying to win a fair fight. We're trying to make them pay so much for this planet that they'll think twice before attacking the next one. Her tactics were simple but effective. Never fight when the enemy expected it. Always attack when they felt safe. Make them afraid to leave their ships. Make them use more supplies than they planned. Most importantly, make them understand that every human world would cost them dearly. Meanwhile, in space above New Portland, Admiral Hayes was preparing to show the Zeltharians another human innovation. Her fleet was outnumbered 4-1, but she had advantages the aliens didn't know about. "Lieutenant Colonel Ben Carter, are your pilots ready?" she asked over the communication system. Ben Carter commanded the fighter squadrons aboard the Retribution. He was young for his rank, only 30 years old, but he had trained for this his entire life. "Yes, ma'am. All pilots understand the mission. Remember, we're not trying to destroy their entire fleet. We're trying to break their spirit." The Zeltharian fleet commander, Admiral Kessitar, detected the human ships leaving the asteroid field. He had replaced General Vexitar after the disaster on New Portland. Emperor Zethkol wanted faster results. "Finally, they come to fight properly," Admiral Kessitar said to his bridge crew. 200 ships against 50. This will be over quickly, but Admiral Hayes had no intention of fighting a traditional space battle. As the two fleets approached each other, she gave an order that confused the Zeltharian sensors. "All fighters, launch immediately. Begin attack pattern Delta." 300 small human fighters poured out of the carrier ships and headed straight toward the Zeltharian fleet. But instead of firing weapons, they did something the aliens had never seen before. The fighters were loaded with antimatter charges. Each pilot was on a suicide mission. Lieutenant Jimmy Walker was the first to reach a Zeltharian ship. Instead of trying to win a dogfight, he crashed his fighter directly into the alien vessel's engine section. The antimatter explosion tore the ship apart. "For New Portland," he shouted over the radio as his fighter disappeared in a ball of white fire. Across the battlefield, 200 other human pilots did the same thing. They flew their fighters like guided missiles, ramming Zeltharian ships and destroying themselves in the process. Admiral Kessitar watched in horror as his fleet lost 50 ships in less than 10 minutes. "What kind of creatures are these?" he whispered. "They kill themselves just to hurt us." The psychological impact was devastating. Zeltharian soldiers had never seen an enemy that preferred death to defeat. In their culture, surrender was acceptable when facing superior force. But humans seemed to think that dying while fighting was better than living as prisoners. While the space battle raged, Dr. Patricia Shaw was fighting a different kind of war from Earth. She led the Cyber Warfare Division, and she had been busy breaking into Zeltharian computer systems. "We're in," she told her team of programmers and hackers. "I've got access to their military communication network." "What do you want to upload?" asked her assistant, Greg Miller. "Everything. Combat footage from New Portland, recordings of human soldiers fighting even when they're dying, videos of our children learning to use weapons. I want every Zeltharian soldier to see what humans are really like." The psychological warfare campaign was Dr. Shaw's idea. If the aliens thought humans were weak, she would show them the truth. She uploaded thousands of hours of footage showing human determination, human anger, and human refusal to give up. One video showed a human soldier on New Portland who had lost both legs in an explosion. Instead of calling for help, he crawled toward Zeltharian positions with a grenade in each hand. Another showed a group of human children, some as young as 10 years old, learning to build bombs and set traps. The most disturbing video for the Zeltharians showed a human mother teaching her 5-year-old daughter to use a gun. "Remember, sweetie," the mother said calmly, "if the bad aliens come to our house, you hide until they get close, then you shoot them and run to the safe room." Within hours, these videos were being broadcast on every Zeltharian military channel. Soldiers who had never doubted their empire's power began to question whether conquering humans was worth the cost. On the ground, the war continued to go badly for the Zeltharians. Colonel Frank Miller had arrived on New Portland with reinforcements from Earth. He brought with him new weapons and new tactics. "The key to fighting these aliens," he told his officers, "is to never let them feel safe. They're used to conquering species that fight like them, with organized armies and clear battle lines. We're going to show them what guerrilla warfare looks like." Miller's soldiers didn't wear uniforms. They dressed like civilians and hid among the population. They planted bombs in places where Zeltharian patrols felt safe. They poisoned alien food supplies. They sabotaged Zeltharian equipment when no one was watching. Most importantly, they made sure that every Zeltharian soldier understood that any human they met might be an enemy. A farmer carrying vegetables might have a bomb hidden in his cart. A child playing in the street might be gathering intelligence. An old woman sitting on her porch might be a sniper waiting for the perfect shot. Jenny Adams was the civilian leader of the resistance in New Portland's capital city. She had been a schoolteacher before the war, but now she coordinated attacks against the occupying force. "Today we hit their supply depot," she told her fighters. "Remember, we're not trying to win. We're trying to make them understand that holding our world will cost them everything." The attack was perfectly planned. While Zeltharian soldiers were distracted by a fake protest in the main square, human fighters broke into the supply depot and destroyed 3 months' worth of food and ammunition. But the real message came afterward. The humans had left a note written in the Zeltharian language. "This is what happens when you attack our families. We will never stop fighting. We will never surrender. Leave now, or we will destroy everything you try to build here." After 6 months of fighting on New Portland, Admiral Kessitar sent a report to Emperor Zethkol that shocked the entire Zeltharian government. "Your Majesty, we have captured the planet, but at terrible cost. We have lost over 100 ships and 200,000 soldiers. The planet's infrastructure is completely destroyed, making it useless for the Empire. The surviving humans continue to fight from hidden bases. More importantly, the psychological effect on our troops is severe. Many soldiers are requesting transfers away from human space. They say that fighting humans is like fighting demons who prefer death to defeat." Emperor Zethkol was beginning to understand that he had made a serious mistake, but his pride would not let him admit it. Instead, he ordered more ships and more soldiers to be sent to human space. He did not know that Admiral Hayes was already planning the next phase of the war. The Battle of Kepler Station had taught humans that they could hurt the Zeltharian fleet. Now it was time to take the fight to the enemy's home territory. The real war was just beginning. News of the human resistance spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. On the water world of Carol Prime, the aquatic Carol people watched broadcasts of humans fighting on New Portland. For 50 years they had been slaves to the Zeltharian Empire, forced to harvest rare minerals from their ocean floors. Elder Splashwing called together the Carol Council in their underwater city. The elder was old even by Carol standards, with pale blue skin and fins that had seen many seasons of Zeltharian cruelty. "My people, we have seen something remarkable. The humans refuse to surrender, even when facing certain death. Perhaps we have been wrong to accept our slavery so easily." Young Carol named Flow Dancer spoke up from the back of the gathering. "Elder, the Zeltharians have powerful weapons. Their ships patrol our skies constantly. How can we fight them? The same way the humans fight them. We make their occupation cost more than it's worth." Within days, Carol resistance fighters began attacking Zeltharian mining operations. They used their natural ability to breathe underwater, to sabotage equipment and disappear before the aliens could respond. Inspired by human tactics, they turned their entire ocean world into a battlefield. On the silicon world of Mortek, the rock-based Mortek people had a similar awakening. For 30 years they had served as unpaid laborers in Zeltharian factories. But when they saw humans choosing death over slavery, something changed in their collective mind. The Mortek communicated through vibrations in stone, making it impossible for the Zeltharians to intercept their messages. They began coordinating attacks across their entire planet simultaneously. Factory explosions happened at the same time in dozens of cities. Captain Danny Price led a human strike force deep into Zeltharian space, while the aliens were distracted by rebellions on their slave worlds. His mission was not to conquer territory but to spread fear throughout the Empire. "Remember, we're not here to hold ground," Danny told his crew as their stealth ship approached a Zeltharian supply depot. "We're here to make them understand that nowhere is safe." The human strike force consisted of 12 ships, each one designed for hit-and-run attacks. They moved through Zeltharian space like ghosts, destroying supply convoys and fuel stations, before disappearing again. But Danny's real weapon was not his ships or his bombs. It was his voice. At every target, the humans left behind a broadcast beacon that would transmit the same message for weeks. Attention citizens of the Zeltharian Empire. Your government has made war on humanity. This war will not end until your empire surrenders completely. Every day you continue fighting, more of your worlds will burn. Surrender now or face total destruction. The broadcasts included footage from New Portland showing human children learning to fight, human soldiers dying rather than surrendering, and human civilians building weapons in their homes. For Zeltharians who had never seen such determined resistance, the videos were terrifying. Major Claire Thompson worked in human military intelligence, analyzing everything they had learned about the Zeltharian Empire. She had spent months studying reports from Tom Bradley and Kate Sullivan, the two miners who had been captured in the first encounter. "Sir, I think we've found their weakness," Claire told General Marcus Stone during a briefing at Earth Command. "Show me." Claire activated a holographic display showing the structure of Zeltharian society. "They're not actually warriors, sir. They're bureaucrats with good weapons. Every species they've conquered before gave up quickly, so they never learned how to fight a real war." "Explain." "Look at their military organization. Everything is centralized. Orders come from the top down through a rigid chain of command. When something unexpected happens, lower-level commanders wait for orders instead of adapting." "General," Stone studied the information. "So if we disrupt their command structure, they fall apart. But there's more, sir. They've never had to fight a defensive war. All their tactics are designed for quick conquest of weaker enemies. They don't know how to protect their own territory while attacking ours." This intelligence led to Operation Backfire, the largest human military offensive in history. Instead of defending their own worlds and waiting for the Zeltharians to attack, humans would invade Zeltharian space and destroy their capacity to make war. Emperor Zeth Kol received reports of human attacks throughout his empire with growing panic. In his throne room, surrounded by his finest generals, he struggled to understand what was happening. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We have the largest fleet in the galaxy. Our technology is superior. How can these primitive humans be winning?" General Thysamar, the newest military commander, tried to explain. "Your Majesty, the humans don't fight like any species we've encountered before. They seem to prefer dying to losing, and they've inspired rebellion among our slave races." "Then crush the rebellion, send more ships." "We've tried, Your Majesty. But every ship we send to deal with rebellions is a ship that can't fight the humans, and the humans keep attacking our supply lines, making it impossible to maintain our forces." The Emperor's anger grew. "Are you telling me that my mighty empire is being defeated by one small species?" "Not defeated, Your Majesty, but damaged. The cost of this war is becoming enormous." Meanwhile, General Stone was preparing the most ambitious human military operation ever attempted. The target was Kithara, the Zeltharian Empire's main industrial world. If they could destroy the factories there, the alien war machine would be crippled. "This is not a conquest mission," Stone told his officers. "We're not trying to occupy Kithara. We're trying to eliminate it as a source of Zeltharian military power." The attack fleet consisted of 200 human ships, including the new Hammer class, destroyers armed with the latest kinetic weapons. These ships could fire metal slugs at 30% of light speed, turning any target into vapor. Admiral Robert Clark commanded the fleet from his flagship, the UES Vengeance. He was a veteran of the Mars colonies who had volunteered for this mission specifically because it was so dangerous. "All ships remember your targets," Admiral Clark announced as they approached Kithara. "Military factories, weapon storage, and shipyards. Leave civilian areas alone unless they're being used for military purposes." The Battle of Kithara lasted only 6 hours, but it changed the course of the war. The Zeltharians had expected humans to fight defensively, protecting their own worlds. They had not prepared for a full-scale assault on their industrial heart. Human stealth fighters destroyed the orbital defense platforms before the main fleet arrived. Kinetic weapons punched through Zeltharian shields like they were made of paper. Within 2 hours, every military factory on the planet was burning. But the most shocking moment came when Admiral Clark broadcast a message to the Zeltharian defenders. "We could destroy your entire planet right now. We have the weapons to crack worlds and turn them into asteroid fields. But we're not monsters like your empire. Evacuate your military personnel and surrender, and we'll spare your civilians. Commander Vextal of the Kythera Defense Force had never heard an enemy offer mercy before. In Zeltharian culture, conquered enemies were enslaved or killed. The idea that humans would spare non-combatants was completely foreign. Why? He asked over the communication channel. Why spare us when you could destroy us all? Because we're not fighting your people, Admiral Clark replied. We're fighting your government. Surrender now and you can go home to your families. Half of the Zeltharian forces on Kythera surrendered immediately. The other half retreated, but they spread word throughout the Empire that humans were not the monsters their propaganda claimed. Tom Bradley and Kate Sullivan had finally escaped from their Zeltharian prison ship during the chaos of a rebel attack. They made their way to a Carol resistance cell and sent a message to Earth with everything they had learned about Zeltharian technology and weaknesses. The key thing to understand, Tom's message said, is that their whole society is built on intimidation. They've never had to fight someone who wasn't afraid of them. Now that we've shown the galaxy that Zeltharians can be beaten, their entire system is falling apart. Kate's report was even more valuable. Their armor is designed to stop energy weapons, not kinetic projectiles. Their ships are built for patrols and intimidation, not extended combat. Most importantly, their soldiers are not trained for the kind of warfare we're showing them. With this intelligence, human forces began winning battles across Zeltharian space. Every victory inspired more rebellions among conquered species. Every rebellion forced the Zeltharians to divide their forces further. Emperor Zethkol sat alone in his throne room, reading reports of defeats and rebellions. For the first time in his long life, he was beginning to understand fear. The humans had not just defeated his military. They had destroyed the idea that the Zeltharian Empire was unbeatable. His empire was crumbling, and it was all because he had attacked one small species that refused to surrender. The humans had kept their word. They were reducing his empire to ashes, one world at a time. Soon he would have to make the hardest decision of his reign. But first, the humans had one more lesson to teach him about the price of threatening their species. The human fleet approaching the Zeltharian homeworld was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Robert Clark commanded 300 human ships, supported by rebel forces from 12 different species. The Carol had sent their underwater fighters. The Mortek had contributed their rock-boring ships. Even species that had never fought before were joining the battle against their former masters. Emperor Zethkol watched from his palace as the massive fleet took positions around his world. For 1,000 years, no enemy had come this close to the Zeltharian capital. Now humans were surrounding his planet like they owned it. Your Majesty, General Tismar said quietly, perhaps it is time to consider surrender terms. The Emperor's forearms shook with rage. Surrender? The mighty Zeltharian Empire does not surrender to insects. Your Majesty, they are not insects. They have defeated our fleets, destroyed our factories, and turned half the galaxy against us. We have lost this war. President Helen Carter sat in the command center of the UES Liberty, the largest human ship ever built. Around her, officers from 12 different species worked together, united by their hatred of Zeltharian oppression. Admiral Clark, are your forces in position? She asked. Yes, Madam President. All human ships are ready. Our allies are standing by. And the planet cracker? Dr. Amy Foster checked her instruments. The device is ready, Madam President. We can demonstrate it on one of their moons to show we're serious. President Carter nodded. This was the moment that would determine the future of the galaxy. Open a channel to the Zeltharian government. Emperor Zethkol appeared on the screen, surrounded by his advisors. Even through the transmission, his fear was obvious. What do you want, human? I want to end this war, President Carter said, calmly. Your empire attacked us without cause. You enslaved peaceful species across the galaxy. You threatened to extinct humanity. Now you will face the consequences. You cannot destroy the Zeltharian Empire. We are the rulers of this galaxy. Watch and learn. President Carter nodded to Dr. Foster, who activated the planet cracker. The weapon was hidden inside what looked like a normal asteroid, drifting near one of the system's outer moons. When it detonated, the fusion explosion was visible from the homeworld. The moon simply disappeared. One moment it was there. The next, it was expanding cloud of dust and gas. Emperor Zethkol stared in horror. How is this possible? We told you from the beginning, President Carter said. Humans don't surrender. When someone threatens us, we eliminate the threat completely. That moon could have been your homeworld. It could be any of your remaining planets. What are your terms? The Emperor asked, his voice barely a whisper. Unconditional surrender. Immediate release of all slaves and prisoners. Complete disarmament of your military. And one more thing. What? You will broadcast a message to every species in the galaxy. You will tell them exactly what happens when someone attacks humanity. The surrender ceremony took place in space, aboard the neutral ship provided by the Galactic Council. Representatives from hundreds of species came to witness the end of the Zeltharian Empire. Emperor Zethkol signed the surrender documents with shaking hands. As he did, President Carter stood to address the gathered aliens. Let this be a lesson. To everyone here, she said. Humanity wanted nothing more than to explore space peacefully and make friends with other species. We were forced into this war by Zeltharian aggression. We do not conquer for pleasure. We do not enslave other beings. We do not threaten species that leave us alone. But if you attack our families, if you threaten our children, if you try to make slaves of our people, we will respond with everything we have. We have weapons that can crack planets. We have ships that can strike anywhere in the galaxy. We have soldiers who prefer death to defeat. Most importantly, we have allies who will stand with us against any threat. Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, now head of the Galactic Research Institute, began compiling the official record of the war. Her report would become the most important document in galactic history. The Human-Zeltharian War lasted 18 months, she wrote. In that time, humanity demonstrated capabilities that no other species possessed. They showed tactical flexibility, strategic thinking, and most importantly, absolute determination to protect their own. The key difference between humans and other species is their response to existential threat. Most species, when faced with superior force, will surrender to preserve their lives. Humans will fight harder when the odds are against them. This psychological trait, combined with their innovative technology and ability to inspire others, makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy when threatened. The Zeltharian Empire learned this too late. Tom Bradley and Kate Sullivan returned to Earth as heroes. Their intelligence gathering during captivity had been crucial to human victory. At a ceremony in their honor, Tom spoke about what he had learned. The Zeltharians made one mistake that cost them everything, he said. They thought all species were like the ones they had conquered before. They expected us to be afraid. They expected us to give up when things got hard. But humans don't work that way. When someone threatens our families, we don't get scared, we get angry. And when humans get angry, we don't stop until the threat is gone. Kate added, they also made the mistake of giving us time to prepare. They warned us they were coming instead of attacking immediately. That gave us time to build weapons, make plans, and unite other species against them. The war's end brought changes throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Council was reformed with humans as permanent members. New laws were written to prevent any species from enslaving others. Most importantly, a simple rule was established that every species had to follow. Captain Jake Morrison, now an admiral, commanded the new Galactic Peacekeeping Force. His first mission was to visit every known species and deliver the same message. Humanity wants to be friends with everyone, he would tell each alien government. We want to trade, explore, and learn together. We will help defend peaceful species against aggressors. We will share our technology with those who need it. But remember this, we are not the same species we were before the war. We have weapons that can destroy worlds. We have allies throughout the galaxy, and we have proven that we will use everything we have to protect ourselves and our friends. So be friendly, be peaceful, be good neighbors. but never ever threaten humanity or those under our protection. The message spread quickly through galactic communication networks. Within months, every species knew the story of the HFY War. They knew what happened when someone attacked humans. Trade delegations from across the galaxy began arriving at Earth, offering friendship and alliance. Former Zeltharian slave species requested human protection. Even species that had never left their home systems sent messages of peace and cooperation. But the most important message came from the ruins of the Zeltharian homeworld, where Emperor Zethkol broadcast his final transmission to the galaxy. People of all worlds, hear my words. I am the former emperor of what was once the greatest empire in the galaxy. I am speaking to warn you all of a terrible mistake. Do not attack the humans. Do not threaten them. Do not try to conquer them. They are not like other species. They do not surrender. They do not compromise when their survival is at stake. They will reduce your empire to ashes and scatter the dust to the solar winds. I learned this too late. My empire is gone. My fleets are destroyed. My people are scattered. All because I thought humans were weak. They are not weak. They are the strongest species in the galaxy, not because of their weapons, but because of their will. When you threaten a human's family, you become their enemy forever, and humans never forget their enemies. Years later, when new species were discovered at the edge of the galaxy, they would receive a standard greeting from the Galactic Council. Along with maps, trade agreements, and cultural information, they would get one simple warning. Welcome to galactic civilization. There are many species here, and most are peaceful. Make friends with the humans if you can. They are generous allies and excellent trading partners. But remember this above all else. Never attack them. Humans do not conquer their enemies. They erase them from existence. The warning worked. In the 50 years following the Zeltharian War, no species ever again tried to threaten humanity. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and peace prevailed among the stars. But in the deepest vaults on Earth, human weapons remained ready. Planet crackers waited in hidden asteroid bases. Stealth fleets patrolled the borders of human space. Because humans had learned something too. Peace was only possible when others knew the price of breaking it. The galaxy was safer because everyone understood one simple truth. You can attack humanity, but they will make sure you regret it forever.